Stuart.
All right. Well, hello everyone. It's great to see everybody here again. As Maria Vanessa said, this is a SITREP forum that was started with the intent to bring an inside perspective from a service member, combat veterans mindset to anyone that was willing to listen, whether it be family members, doctors, friends, to kind of give them that inside look and tools to help them assist people that they know that may be struggling, whether it's a actual veteran, first responder, or just somebody who might be struggling with post-traumatic stress or some other um, version of an internal struggle. Anyway, um, Brendan and I have been friends for over a decade now. He actually ended up being my platoon sergeant back in 2016 when I reported to Fort Hood. And this is a very unique one for me because, like I spoke to Maria Vanessa about, Brendan and I both were there during some of our darkest times. He was present when I was dealing with a lot of personal issues. I've run to his house and stayed with him for a night just to get a breath. And he did the same thing with me. And 10 years later, we still message each other all the time. We spat back and forth, talk about the gym or what have you, and then both of our journeys. So it's awesome to have him here. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him introduce himself, talk about a little bit of his military experience, and then we'll just dive right in. And as Maria Vanessa said, we just ask if you keep it on mute while the session is going. And then at the very end, we do open it up 15, 20 minutes for Q&A. The recording will be off at that point. The only reason why we do record is there are people from the National Alliance of Mental Illness that weren't able to attend today, and they're actually going to use this recording to help with their NAMI Homefront campaign, which is a campaign that helps spouses and friends and service members at actual installations to try to deal with behavior health, post-traumatic stress, and then to minimize and prevent suicide amongst active duty. So go ahead, Brendan. I'll pass it over to you and let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Everybody had their cameras turned on. It was a little harder than I thought. I'm gonna be able to see everybody's faces. No, you're good. You're good. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brandon Siegfried. I spent 24 years in the Army. Um, I've got probably a million deployments overseas. I was there during the invasion of Iraq. We actually did a 6 month rotation in Kuwait before that. Spent time as a drill sergeant, did a long deployment in '05, did another deployment right after I got off the trail in '09. 2 months later, I was back in Iraq. Um, and then I just kind of spiraled from there. But um, yeah, I served all the way up to September 2022 when I retired. My last duty state wasn't really a duty station. I taught ROTC up at Missouri Western University, and actually, when I retired, there was no like good job, anything like that. Matter of fact, we were fighting for to get my retired pay set straight. Never received a flag or anything like that, which kind of pissed me off a lot. But especially after everything I felt like had done. I also spent time on temporary displacement retirement, which, if you don't understand what that is, I can break it down for you easy by saying it's like an IR list in sports. You're on the team, but you're not on the team. You're getting something, but you're getting nothing. And if you get cleared, you can go back on the team. And that's exactly what I did. Um, so that's about where I'm at now. Now I just actually left a job as a quality control manager, and next week I'll be starting a job as a environmental health and safety trainer too, up at Alltech in St. Joseph. So that's me. Sup? What you got,
All right.
brother?
All right. Well, gloves come off immediately. Maria Vanessa, I think we have a couple people in the waiting room. I know some people got dropped, but they're sending me some messages. But all right, gloves are off. All right, from the bat. So let's get right to it.
Okay.
Um, the whole point is talking about the struggles. So I know it's going to be a rough talk, but let's go back, you know, about a decade ago where we were both in our ruts and talk about that dark place, the drinking, and kind of what got you to that low point
Mm.
and moving forward from there.
Okay. Oh, we have to back up a little further than that, buddy,
Go
because
for it.
mine started a little earlier than that. So
Yeah.
I'll take you back to my time as a drill sergeant at Fort Knox. Um, I and it's a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be.
It's all
Um,
right.
I struggled a lot. All I ever wanted to do was actually be a drill sergeant in the army. And it's not the way I kind of wanted it to go. Like I went from deployment to deployment. I got home, and 3 months later, I was in drill sergeant school. It was like there was no stopping, there was no break. And anyway, so I struggled a little bit. My daughter's mom, my ex-wife, we were married at the time. She ended up losing her brother in Iraq. He got killed. His name was Blair Emery. He died, and then everything kind of exploded from there. Went through a pretty crappy divorce, and it just everything just shit rolled downhill. You know what I mean? At the same time as I'm trying to perform at the elite level that we have to perform, and this as drill sergeants that we're there from 4 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night. We don't get no fucking days off. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you're just going. Um, and that's where kind of where it all really started. I think. Of course, I was drinking before that. I was angry. I just didn't know what it was. I got into fights with my own dad. Like I was angry at everybody. Everybody had me. I was angry. And there was nowhere to focus it because I was just pissed off. And at that time, I know it's kind of stupid to say it now because you think about it. You if you went and got help, you were a pussy.
Yeah,
You
that
weren't
that's
a man. You weren't a combat soldier. You were a chump. You went and got help. You were a chump. So it's like, dude, drink some beer and let's go. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep doing what we do, right? Anyway, um, got to a pretty dark place then, and of course I was going to take my life, but the stupid me, which is probably the good reason why I did it, decided to email everybody first before I was going to do it, thinking that no one was going to see it, no one was going to read it, no one was going to know until it was already over. And it didn't take no time whatsoever for I started getting responses from people and people reaching out. And then I ended up, my mom drove down. My brother was living in Louisville at the time, and we went to his house.
all right, brother.
Ah, I never seen my brother cry like that. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm sorry, man.
No,
It's
you're
supposed to
you're
be
tot
easier, man.
no, no,
Um,
no, no. That's the whole
anyway,
point.
so that was the first. That was the first time, and I reached out, but I didn't really have a plan. My plan was to drive my Monte Carlo as fast as I could into a fucking brick wall. I didn't have a plan. I just knew that something dark had taken over me and I wanted to go. That's it. So I ended up taking leave, going up and staying with my mom for about a week. I think it was about a week with her and her friend Sheldon and them. Went up there and just fished and drank and got really sunburned actually. Like that. So it was able to taper down. Of course, there was after effects because I kind of hid it from the military. I didn't tell them what was going on. I lied to them, told my mom wasn't something was wrong with mom. I needed to go home. My dad ended up getting talking to the commander there, and he was like, let's how about let's talk about my son, and it's kind of what I needed anyway. And so there was some blowback from that when I got back, but not a big of a deal. So get through all that. It's fine, and we move forward. And, I never thought about going to get help. Never crossed my mind. I just, I had family. I had people to support. I just kept trucking along. So then you fast forward to I get ready to get off the trail, and I get orders to go to Fort Bliss, Texas, out of all places. The Army hated me, bro. They sent me to Fort Hood, Korea, Fort Bliss, Fort Hood again, Korea again. Like they just really didn't want to send me anywhere else, man. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know who I pissed off, but whatever. Anyway, so I get down there and find out 2 months after I arrived that we were deploying again. So if you take a look, if I was to give you a timeline, like an hour is not long enough for us to have this conversation, by the way. If I was to give
Yeah,
you
I
a
know.
fucking timeline of my military career, it was 1,000 miles an hour continuously, without no brakes, no gas, no brakes, and then it stopped. Then I went through some more struggles. Then I got back in it and went right back into the 1,000 miles an hour. It was I don't know, man. It's a shit show. Anyway, but so I get down there. And I'm in 6-1 Cav at that time, and they were getting ready to. I think after we got back from deployment, I had a soldier, Morales, who was on orders to go to PCS, right, and they were going to stop loss them to deploy again. So you know me, I've always been a fighter of soldiers. I don't care whose desk I have to piss on. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. I go right to the sergeant major, pretty much told him what was going on, got that cleared up. And then not too long after that, guess who ended up in another unit about to deploy again?
Hmm.
Me.
Yep.
And I was getting ready to go overseas again. And I hadn't even been home fucking 4 months, maybe five, maybe. And I was out of control, man. If my son's mom was on here, she would tell you I was out of control. I was absolutely out of control. I was just stayed drunk, drove drunk. I'm surprised I'm not in jail in the morgue. I'll just put it that way. It's bad. It's pretty bad. And so I finally made the decision. I needed to talk to somebody, and it took only, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years. After the first, after the initial invasion of Iraq, to even go talk to somebody. Finally, a professional to sit down with somebody and say, "Hey, man, like I don't know what to do. Like I'm out of control. The whole thing's out of control." So first thing they did was stop loss me. When you know what happens with that.
Yep.
I couldn't go through SRP, so guess what they decided they were going to do? Kick me the fuck out of the army, even after everything I've
Yep.
already done. So anyway, so I go there, and don't get me wrong, I support mental health, I support counseling, I support it all. But back in that time frame, what they did to me is monstrous. They put me on pills that turned me into a zombie. That's what they did. And I don't know any better. So what do you think I did? Yes, sir. I'll take the pills. No problem, man. I got you. Right? Took all those pills. And then
Yep.
my father comes to visit, and Lily looks at my ex-wife and said, "Who is this man? And where's my son?" It's all right there. But you don't see none of this. I don't see none of this. All I see is nothing. I see no love. I see no emotions. I don't see nothing. But I was docile. That's all that mattered to these people, that the big angry Brandon, Sergeant Siegfried, was quiet. And that's what they wanted. They wanted me to be quiet.
Yep.
Anywho, so we pushed through all that. And I fought the med board. I fought to stay in. Believe it or not, I did not want my walking papers. I lost the fight. So I get sent. They told me I was going to make retirement and disability, which would have set me up just fine to take care of my family. That is not true. When that first paycheck came, they subtracted $1,700 from it, which was what I would have got. $1,700 is what I was worth all them years in the military for retirement,
Yep.
and they took it because the military or the VA was about the same. And that whole thing that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. That's fucking
Yep.
shit show. Matter of fact, my stepson's going through it right now. Um, anyway, and so I'm down in a new city, in a new place. I just lost the only thing I ever knew because I was good at what I did, man. I was a fucking good soldier,
Yeah. I remember, brother.
and they took it. And I was lost, and so down there in Texas, um, I know some people in this chat room probably don't know, but I tried to drink myself to death one night. I couldn't even do that. I just fell asleep in a puddle of my own puke. Woke up the next morning and had to clean the house because I hate the smell, and it was my own fucking fault. I'm glad my son wasn't there. I'm glad she'd already took him and they were already gone, but there's that's temp number two, man. What do you do? That I didn't have anybody, and there was people there in this room, and I understand that, but you got to understand my mindset.
Yeah, no, when you're in that place, it doesn't matter. Yeah, if they're not
I
right there in
was
front of
alone.
you.
Anyway, so I'll give this one more of a summary. I don't want to get too far into this one because this will probably be a pretty shitty one to talk about. But so
Go for it.
my dad comes and gets me, says, "All right, let's go. You need to get out of here." My mom offered as well, um, and so I went with my dad, and we went up. We grabbed my brother and his family as well. I can't remember where they. I think there was in Iowa where they were. I can't remember. They were living up there somewhere, and we all ended up in Tennessee. And even though I know the heart's in the right place, it was the last place I needed to be. And I'll explain to you why. And I understand it now. I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. Is where the place I was at in life, I was toxic. I was a toxic person, and my toxicity spread. Right. Not saying that I was mean. I wasn't. I was out doing drugs and all that other stupid shit. I drank a lot of a lot of alcohol, and I mean like me, and that was
Yep.
nothing compared to what I could. Siegfried trait. It's a Siegfried trait, Anyway, um, it was a struggle because I was trying to live in an apartment with a family that was already overcrowded in the apartment. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to live. I didn't know what, if anything, to move forward. I was in that place. So I tried everything I could, and I even ended up somewhere I should have never ended up, with somebody I should have never ended up with. Yeah, trying to figure out who Brandon is, because now I went from being, a decorated combat veteran, a drill sergeant that I ain't gonna lie to you, I was absolutely fucking stud as a drill sergeant. I'm gonna throw that out there. I was kind of a bad motherfucker. Anyway, and all this wonderful stuff I did in life, and now I'm at the such a bottom of a barrel. I call it the bottom of the barrel. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has to start somewhere. But for me, and I don't think a lot of people in that building that my dad worked in understood the humbleness of what I accepted to be able to have some kind of income. And I was stocking shelves, delivering, and I was still doing too good of a job of it because they cut overtime because I was working too much. Imagine that. Imagine that. Get people overtime,
Yep.
and Brandon shows up, starts rocking shit out, and they're like, "Wait, hold on now. What's wrong, brother? Like, what's wrong, buddy? People actually working." No, that's just a little joke. So I still had my eye on the prize, still was trying to figure out who it was. I ended up going through um the actually state academy, or actually going through the process of being a state trooper in Tennessee, which I thought would have been super freaking cool, by the way. I thought it looked pretty damn awesome with some aviators and a permanent drill sergeant hat, I would call it. Walking
Yeah.
around pulling people over, intimidating people. I think that'd be fun. Anyway, I didn't make it because of my credit. My credit cost me that because, in their eyes, the debt I had would make me susceptible to bribery, which me, people that know me would probably laugh at that. Like, seriously, bro? But anyway, so that was another door closed. So then I go through this every year. When you're on TDRL, you have to go through an evaluation every year. And they most of the time, I want to say 90% of the time, that's what the guy told me back then, is they'll say, "Here's your options. What do you want to do?" Nobody ever mentions going back to active duty. Well, let me tell you, Stu, I dressed in my Sunday best. I shaved, I combed, I even did some push-ups and some sit-ups, did a little workout. So I was looking good when I walked in that door. And I was like, I walked in there and it was all a shell. It was all a mask. It was all a mask.
Yeah.
Sat right down in front of that dude and was like, "What's up, man? Oh, you're looking like you're doing great." And he goes, "You want to go back to active duty?" And I was like, "I can go back." I acted stupid. Like, "I can go back? What?" You know, absolutely. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So that was my big fu back to the army. Like, oh, you thought you got rid of me, didn't you? Guess it's coming
Yeah.
back. No, but anyway, I wanted the opportunity because I think that's where I felt the most comfortable, and that's where I wanted to go. So it was quite the journey to get back on active duty. Even a good story for you. I went to Fort Leonard Wood to in process back in the army. I showed up with my drill sergeant badge on my uniform. They thought they were excited. They're like, "We got a drill sergeant here, bro!" And I'm like, "No, not just passing through, brother."
Yep.
But I got back in. Got in process, and guess where the first place they sent me?
Hood.
Back to Korea.
Oh no, never mind.
So I get to Korea, and this is another. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. I get to Korea. The second ID does not want me. The command sergeant major at the time of the Second Infantry Division. You can look it up. 2014, I think it was 2013, 2014. Emailed Eighth Army and said, "We do not want this soldier in our unit because everything was supposed to be reset. Everything was supposed to be gone. Everything was supposed to be erased. It was supposed to be
But
starting over. Date of rank starts the day I got back in. I still keep my E6, but I lost all that leadership time, right? I had to get all that's why I fell behind a lot of people because I lost
yeah.
all that time. I had to start over pretty much. But I didn't lose rank. So that was to me, that was the cool, let's do it. So I ended up staying in 8th Army. And wouldn't you know it, I ended up in the G33 shop, 19 Delta, in 8th Army, man. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
fun times, brother. I got to go hiking. I got to hike the Bukhansan Mountain, hung out with some monks up at the monk temple. I didn't really hang out. I said hi to them. They kind of looked at me weird, but, like got to do some really cool stuff. But at the time, but what I understand, what I try to get out with this is it was just another escape. I got out. What a situation I was in Tennessee, I was no longer in.
Yep.
Right, that got me away from the situation.
And it's another
And
distraction to keep
but
you from addressing
but
certain things.
during this whole time, and I was going to write it down, but I didn't write it down. I'm still taking clonidine, Clonopin, Risperidol, Lamidal, Zoloft, Ambien. List goes on. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm still taking these medications, right? You know, and I think it's more of like in these medications, from what I learned, and I'll get into that here in a minute. From where the camp I went, Warfighter Advance, they're all short term, and there's a lot of long term effects, and a lot of the twitches and shit that I have nowadays is all thanks to the wonderful world of mental health medicine. Thank you, sir and ma'am, and whoever else makes these pills. Yeah. Anyway, I'm doing that. So I get done, and then guess where they send me after Korea? Right to
Yeah.
you, brother. Come right to you. Right, come back down to Fort Hood, Texas. There we are, and there I am, still trying to do something, still trying to make it. Still trying to find it, and nothing ever changed. I moved down there. I'm in an empty apartment, and I have a tap box, a TV, and a recliner, which sounds kind of funny because when I moved up here to St. Joseph, you can ask my dad, I had a tap box, a TV, and a recliner. I actually bought furniture and beds for my children because they were coming to see me. And I was like, they ain't sleeping on the floor. My mom was even impressed that I went out and bought all this crap because my kids was not going to sleep on the floor. It's like, Amazon, thank you, Jesus. No. But anyway, so so starting all over down there, and you kind of know a lot of what went on there. I was a
Yeah.
platoon sergeant. I think politics had a lot to do with me losing that because I should have never lost my platoon. That was my platoon,
Yep.
right? Y'all were my
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we weren't too happy.
And
There were a lot of politics in that
a lot
unit.
of politics, but that's okay because in the past. But I know that y'all are all still, y'all are still my brothers. I still love all y'all to death. I had Thomas Armwood and them with me in the HQ and you at one point. So I still had a really good group, of soldiers, and they're all really, really good soldiers. Um, didn't come without the problems, but I'm still battling my internal conflict because that's not where I should be. I should have been in that damn first RNC is where I should have been. That's where I should have been. So I held on to that hate for quite a long time now. I was always just angry, just like I had to reset, restart, and nobody was giving me a chance to get to where I needed to be. I was there. I was in that spot. The other guy
Hmm.
in the other platoon should have been replaced because he didn't give half a shit.
Oh
I should
yeah.
have stayed. Right? We all know about that. All right, so we'll continue on that. And then of course you know the struggles that I had and that you had, and that we kind of help each other out through that. Anyway, so I got an opportunity to go to good old Gary Owen, and that was a great opportunity. Finally got my sergeant first class. Got my dad come down to pin me, which was one of the greatest moments of my life. And I'm still angry. Why am I still angry? Why am I still so angry at the world? And it still continued and continued. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit and get more recent here. So then I get, they're like, I lost. So I got finished my platoon sergeant time. I'm supposed to go to S3, and I did. I got moved over to S3 for like a few days, and a really good soldier and a wonderful man, Staff Sergeant Sledge, ended up taking his life. He was my replacement. He was the one that was entrusted to take over that platoon. My Staff Sergeant McCartney was my boy, my right hand man. He was supposed, but he took over first platoon. So then, I'm sorry, second platoon. So Sledge was going to take over, and unfortunately, he took his own life. And I mentioned that because he had demons he was fighting with, but you would never know it because he was the nicest fucking guy you'd ever meet in your life. He
Yeah.
was so friendly, so wonderful, such a wonderful person inside. So I have to go back to be a platoon sergeant at this platoon that I had just left and said, sayonara, brother. Yeah, we did great things. And now I got to pick up pieces because everybody there was broken because he was loved by everybody, man. It
Yeah,
was a
it's
great,
it's
great,
always it's always the
you
people
know?
that are the kindest and the ones that, are so warm
Yeah.
that are especially
Yeah.
in the military. Those are the guys that you
Yeah.
actually have to keep an eye on because the
Right.
people that are struggling the most are usually the most quiet. And then they're
Right.
also the ones who smile the most, the ones who help
Yeah.
others the most. And,
Yeah.
because it's the same thing, kind of what you're getting at, and the same thing I did too. We distract ourselves from dealing with our stuff by, helping others and reaching out and putting a smile on our faces and doing all these other things so that way we don't have to face those demons because the military doesn't teach you how to face them. And then
Yeah, they do
like you
not.
said, the medication that they give us, I mean, they put me on Lexapro and two
Yeah.
or three other ones all at once, and it was the same thing. I was angry, I was numb. I didn't know
Yep.
I wasn't me anymore. My
Yep.
children said something, my spouse said something, and then the side effects that you don't realize are even happening, like you said, over time, they just like permanent side effects. Like me, I'm twitchy as heck now from some of the meds that I didn't know that's what they were doing.
Yep.
And when I
100%.
stopped taking, yeah, when I stopped taking them, I lightened up a little bit, but I still have these certain tweaks now that I never had growing up, or I never had when I was young in the military. But it's the same thing, and I understand the same thing with Sergeant Sledge, which I heard about, and I was extremely sad about because, of course, I had guys over in that unit too, including you.
Mhm.
But the thing that bothers me the most with any of that stuff is that we there's that's the stigma behind seeking help, and it's the same reason why you don't seek help, why I didn't seek help, why Sergeant Sledge wasn't seeking help is what happens when people start seeing that stuff, which is also a reason why, when your record's not clear and a sergeant major sees you're coming, they're like, we don't want this guy. Or when I was a drill sergeant and I was being seen, they tried to med board me. They tried to say I was unfit for duty. And you know me,
Yep.
anybody who knows me, the last words that should ever come out of anyone's mouth dealing with me is unfit because I was the crazy dude that wanted to do a Murph every day or do all this other. I'm like, no, 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 no. I am very, very fit. I'm
Yeah.
fine. I can
Oh
do
yeah.
my job. I can fight, but I did the same thing you did,
If
where
somebody would tell me that Sergeant Stewart is getting med board because he's unfit, I'd probably laugh at him.
yeah, exactly. And that's I
Like,
kind of smiled
are we
when they
thinking of
said
the
it.
same guy? Are you sure it's not like another like a John Stewart or David Stewart or
Yeah,
something?
no,
Are you sure it's
it
Sergeant Alexander Stewart? You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. That's what they try to do immediately. It's the same thing, and then I think I made the well, that's why we hit it off so well. I made the same mistake when I was young. I did the 2013-14, came home 6 months later, waved my dwell time, went right into Baghdad. So went right from Afghanistan to Baghdad. Then I showed up and met you, and you say it all the time. You saw a young version of yourself in me. I was this young kid who I had no garrison time. My entire career was Afghanistan, did right to Iraq. Then I met you guys. And then, I tried to come down the hood to get away from that for a little bit because I just did almost
Yeah.
4 years with a very small period of break time. And yeah, of course, I missed my daughter's birth, which you knew. And then I just had a son, and I get to you guys, and guess what? You guys tell me, hey, your dwell time's up 1 month before we deploy, so you're going again. And I
Yep.
did 13 through 16. Now 17, I'm being told you're going over, and you had to muzzle me a couple times because I was just so wound up from the insider threat attacks, from the IDF, from the constant never relaxing. I didn't even know how to work a motor pool Monday. I remember you lost your crap on me when you're like, I need you to go to the motor pool and do all this, and I'm like, I've never done that. and
My
and
friends from my work were like, "You're a fucking NCO and you've never motor pool, man."
yeah. You sent me with Sergeant Armwood to go down to the motor
Oh
pool and
yeah, my
he,
motor
he,
arm with my buddy. I wish he was in this
yeah.
chat right now, man.
Yeah, I remember all the crap he gave me too. He's like, "How the hell are you an NCO and you never?" And I turned to him and I go, "How are you an NCO and you never been in a combat fight?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then he got
Oh
all
yeah.
mad at me. But
Oh
but
yeah.
it's it's
He would get so
it's a
butthurt when you would tell him about that, man. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
that.
but
Yeah, yeah.
it's the
Open.
same thing. But I'm
Yeah.
not trying to distract. It's just I
Nope.
get
You're
it, and
good.
the the silence is a big thing, and I love the stuff you're talking about, the quiet, and
Mhm.
then how it's always those guys, and you don't expect it, and then he gets hit. A lot of people on the outside don't really understand why we're so quiet, why we're smiling, why we're always trying to help people. Because when you think about it, every single service member that I've ever met that took their own life, no one ever really has anything bad to say about those people. They're always, oh, they were, great leaders. They were a good person. They were a great soldier, and they really were. It's always the good people that, as Robin Williams said, and I love that quote, is, be kind to everyone because you never know what kind of struggles they have going on the inside.
Oh, I
And
agree.
yeah, and I mean, Robin Williams was the king of hiding his personal struggles, but especially being as in the spotlight as he was. It's that concept, and I love that you're hitting on it. And don't shy away from the conversation. Don't shy away
Oh, I'm
from
not. Don't worry, I'm
anything
not.
that you're. Yeah, keep running at it, man. And
Yep.
I'll let you pick up. And if we bleed over a little bit of time, that's completely fine. But
Okay.
what I really want to talk about is the deep alcohol that was right around that
Oh, I'm
late
getting
time in your
there.
career.
I'm
Yep.
getting there, brother. I'm
And then
getting there.
I'll let you get into your stuff with the Warrior group.
Okay. Cool. All right. So obviously we just talked about Fort Hood, so that was a pretty good I would say, anchor point to where you probably understand a lot because you were a part of my life then. I think I'm gonna go left field a little bit because we're chatting, because we're friends. Is I think what people don't seem to understand is the personal life struggles that go along with all this. All we've been talking about is military. I hadn't said a
Absolutely.
single word about some of the personal issues that I had with people, areas, places, events in life that compound on top of everything else. And I think that's what makes it so hard. I lost a really good brother of mine. His name is David Stapleton. And we barely talked, after I left and everything like that. And, we kept in touch, as best we could. And I remember the last conversation I had with him, I was actually at Master Gunner School and I was having a day, man. And I was just like, dude, this is stupid. I'm like 30 years old. Why am I doing this? This is waste. Like, I don't even know. I don't even care about these stupid vehicles. Like, you're questioning your life choices again. I'm like, bro, come on, man. This is stupid. And I had a really good conversation with him. So when you're in a dark place, I think anybody that's in here listening, you have to understand it's not dark 24 hours a day because you will see light. There is light in places. You may not even notice it's there. You might think it's a breath of fresh air. You might think that it's a moment of clarity, but it literally is just like when you ever watched a movie where like you have this cloud and the rain over you, and then it kind of dissipates for a second. You feel sunshine, and then it clouds back over you. And that's almost exactly what it's like, right? From some of you nerdy guys that like watch Marvel movies, like I watch Marvel movies, like when Scarlet Witch had Homegirl trapped in her mind. She was trapped in her own mind, right? She could try to get out. You could try to get out, but somebody else controls you. And that's what
Hmm.
I used to, that's the best way I can explain it. You are not in control of your own life because you gave your power to that. Whatever that is, I call it the man in black because back in, here we go again, back in Knox, when all this went down, this is the night before I sent all the emails to everybody and decided that I was done. I had one of those horror movie dreams, and and it felt crazy because it happened all the way so far ago, and I remember it like it's yesterday. And I remember sitting on my couch. All the lights were off. I was sitting on my couch, but I wasn't sitting on my couch. I was actually laying down, sleeping on my couch. But I was dreaming, but I wasn't dreaming, and it gets weird, right? So I felt like I was there. I was sitting here, and I can still remember it today. There was fog outside. It was a small house, one little living room here. There's a stairs that went upstairs where the rooms were, and there's just a little living room that goes, and there's a little kitchen area, and yada yada. And I felt like something was there, right? I look over my shoulder. There's a man in all black standing right there, and you've heard this before from the people talk about the man in black in their dreams before they try to take their lives and stuff, right?
Yeah.
There he was. Whatever it is, there it was, and I was like, I screamed out, "What the?" And I woke up. I sat up on my couch. All the lights were on, right? So I thought I was awake, and there was a bunch of fog outside. And we live in a court, like a little circle. So there was house, and it was all foggy outside. And I lost it. I sprinted out the door. I was standing out in my driveway. Look up at my bedroom window. Guess who's standing in my window? You guessed it, that little son of a bitch. He's standing right there staring at me. I woke up. It was morning time. That was my entire night. And that's what set me down the path that I went because I thought I was already done. I thought it was over. I thought everything
Yeah.
was over. And obviously I was dead wrong because there was a lot of family members that are sitting in here right now that were affected by that. And it was my fault, right? Because I decided to make that choice and I upset a lot of people. Didn't realize how many people actually cared about me. Anyway, but we'll fast forward that. I just wanted to kind of throw that clear. That's where it all really began. When I started writing, that was when I told you I was going to write a book. And I really wanted to start there because I feel like that's where everything in my life changed. Everything changed. I think it changed a little before that because you go to combat, you come back, you're never the same. You're conditioned, and I learned this at Warfighter Base, as a matter of fact. You're conditioned to survive places that most people don't even have to even think about. We
Yep.
are us as combat veterans. We are sent over there with a purpose, a mission, some end state, yada yada yada. Here's my original book from the invasion, my leader's book. Still have it today. It's the only thing I kept. Right, I keep it with me. Right, you're sent over there and you're conditioned to survive these places. You're conditioned to operate very hostile areas, very hostile environments, very hostile people, completing missions, knocking things out without even thinking about it. You have to be able to react, right?
Correct.
Then you come home, right? What the fuck do you think is going to happen when I drive by a big pile of trash that
Yep.
looks like something that could be something? What do you think is going to happen when somebody raises their voice to me, or somebody tries to say something or disrespect somebody in my family or my friend? What do you think is going to happen when you have a conditioned human that's bred for war? What do you think is going to happen? Oh, we're messed up. We're the problem. No, society is the fucking problem. They're the problem because nothing's wrong with us. We're heightened, bro. We're superhuman. We're the
Yep.
guys.
You.
Somebody runs into a building, tries to shoot up the place. Who do you think is going to run towards that dude or try to do something to help? Sure as ain't going to be them people. It's going to be
Yeah.
us. It's going to be us because
Absolutely.
we're conditioned to do this. And I'm not just talking about military. I'm talking about first responders. I'm talking about everybody. I crown eating Marines. I love you guys, but yeah, I know you eat crowns. It's cool. Marines, Air Force, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're at. When you're in those environments and you're taught to survive these places, you come back and there's something's wrong with you. Here's all these medications. Now, one person that prescribes mental health meds is a neurologist. Think about that for a second.
Yep.
None of them are neurologists. Anyway, all right, I'm off my soapbox for a second. Okay, we're good. All right, so I finally get my PCS orders, and I'm going to St. Joseph, Missouri. And I called the branch and said, "Excuse the language, but what the is St. Joseph, Missouri, and what is there?" So I showed up. It was actually during a snowstorm. Brandon, cool luck, Siegfried luck, brother. Yes, my Catholic parents. I just have the best of Siegfried luck. Anyway, so I show up during a snowstorm, um, all that good stuff, and then I get to this new place by myself, St. Joseph, Missouri, and guess what hits? COVID,
Yeah.
just like that. So I'm by myself with a tap box, a TV, my Xbox. Thank you, Jesus, where I learned to play Warzone. That's why I'm so good now.
Oh boy.
Anyway, and a mattress that laid on the floor in the living room. That's all I had, man. So, and then now I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on. And there I am, all alone in the dark. I call it, it's in the dark, right? What do you think I did every day?
Drank.
Right? A lot. My dad will tell you, and I'm not lying, I could kill an entire fifth of bourbon in one day.
I've watched
One
you kill an
evening.
entire
Actually,
fifth of bourbon.
well, that's right, you have, haven't you? Right? That's not really that healthy, brother. Anyway,
Yeah.
but here's the crazy thing is though, is as much as I think it's funny to talk about playing video games and stuff, that was my connection to the outside world. So that is where I actually really bonded with my brother a lot. Me and my brother would get on. One of his friends, his name was what is his name? I don't think Roger's in here, but Big Mo. We call him Big Mo. His screen name was Big Mo. And then, of course, Tyler, my stepson Tyler, Bessie's son, he would jump on sometimes, and we would play with him and his friends. Anyway, but that was a good little connection to the world. But still, just don't know what's going on. You know, I tried to reach out, get some kind of companionship. I even tried all those date apps and all that crap, and nothing was working. So I was like, to hell with it, whatever. Still struggling, man. And here I'm by myself, brother. Still by myself in the dark, not reaching out, not asking for any help, just pretty much drowning myself in alcohol while taking all those medications, and still trying to I don't even know what the word is. Live? Is it really living? Surviving?
Survive. Survive is
Surviving.
kind of yeah.
So then I finally start getting to teach. And of course, if everybody knows me and knows I love to teach, I love mentoring, I love being in front of crowds. I don't have a problem. I could speak in front of an entire auditorium. It would not bother me one bit. They'd probably
Hmm.
tell me not to cuss 50,000 times. They'd probably have to mute half of it, but I would be out there nonetheless. So teaching I built a pretty good bond with a lot of the cadets, most of the cadets, that I could, and the
Hmm.
time I was there. But I could say, she's sitting right beside me, but um, I ended up meeting this woman, and she actually was a big part of my healing journey as well, because she was the first person that I had ever been with in my life that didn't understand a thing what was going on, but understood I was in pain. I'm gonna leave it at that
Would
because I'm gonna get really emotional when she's sitting beside me.
no,
But
that's
she
fine.
understood it. So, of course, that's something that I've seen. I see, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. Anyway, so I'm continuing to do this army thing, and they tell you when you're in cadet command and teaching ROTC, you have all this time off. What they don't tell you is you don't have any summers off. Your summer is spent. Yeah, what was that? The whole summer I was there. The whole summer I was sitting in Fort Knox, Kentucky, sitting behind a desk. Wasn't even doing what I like to do. Sitting behind a desk, and what the hell was it? The G3 this time. I don't know. People like to put me in G shops for some stupid reason. I don't know. I'm not even that good of a talker, to be honest with you. But I'm kind of an asshole. You gotta be political in them positions, dude. I'm not. Um, So the struggle just continued. And then I think what I was trying to get to with this is I was in the darkest place of my life, but I also had light. And I understood that because I got to be a part of her family. I got to meet some amazing people. Um, I got to feel like what it's like to be home with a family because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
Everything was so wild in my life. I didn't know what actually planning roots was. Like we had the conversation. I told her, I said, I'm going to be on this master sergeant list. I guarantee you. And it was. I was like, so we're probably going to have to move before we get any further with this. Are you going to be okay with that? And she was, and I think it would have been really hard for her if we would have, because her whole family, like everybody's here, not used to that, man. Like, our family's spread out. Yeah, Dad spent 20 years in the army, brother. I spent 24. People ask me where I'm from. I said, I don't fucking know. Everywhere. I was like, I don't even know if I was born in Kentucky or Tennessee because I think it has something to do with the line in the hospital. I don't know. I don't know, bro. Like, I'm like, I'm a,
Yeah.
I'm a, I'm an army brat, bro. You're born and raised, but, um, so I finally kind of felt like what it was like to have roots, something planted. And that was the first sign of clarity I think I had to where it was time for me to be done with the army because it felt good to come home. And I'm still battling with things. Don't get me wrong, nothing's changed, but I felt you stand in the mirror. This is when somebody told me this a long time ago, and I can't remember. It was one of my mentors, and I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. But he's like, the day you're done with the military, you will stand in the mirror and you will fucking cry. And I laughed at him. And I guarantee you, I can tell you right now, she knows. I stood right in the mirror of my bathroom and I got teary eyed. I looked right at her. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like it. It's not what it used to be. They say that us old war dogs need to go. Cool, bro. See you later. You
Yep.
know, um, I was on the mass sergeant list. I think I was 9 or 8 or I fucking remember. I was in the top 10 or some shit. And of course, you know what happens if you do that? You got to stay 3 more years. Yada 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 yada.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. Right. So I go through this whole process of um, retiring, and my picture of retirement was something so much different than what it was. It was we were struggling as a ROTC group because we had a couple of structures up here, a couple of structures down in Kansas City. People were just spread out. It's hard to get things put together properly, but I understand all that. But my retirement I felt was so, I don't know. I shouldn't care, but it hurt. It hurt a lot. No flag, no nothing. There was no, walk across stage to Hulk Hogan's, I'm a real American hero song, or Undertaker,
Yeah.
come out, looking all cool, doing your thing because it's your moment. And I kind of brought that probably upon, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I brought that upon myself because I kind of distanced myself from everybody, and I just wanted to be done with the military. I wanted to be out. When I make my mind up about something, everybody knows it's done. I'm done. It's up. It's done.
Yeah.
Like it's good. I think the hardest part was that I never, I don't even think anybody shook my hand that day at the retirement place. Thank you for your service. Anything like that. No flag, no nothing. But Warfighter Advance gave me a fucking flag. They gave me a retirement ceremony while I was there. So somebody that I don't know if Chaplain old Chappie's in here, but he should be because he's a big part of my healing. Anyway, so that was the hardest time, brother. The silence. I took a job as a JROTC instructor and didn't even take time to process. Do you think I was successful in that job? I taught really
Knowing,
well. Don't get me
yeah, I was
wrong.
gonna say, knowing you,
Yeah,
you made it work, but successful, success
I,
has
I
different
would
looks.
I would say it wasn't successful because I took a lot of time off. A lot of days I didn't show up. A lot of days where I was just mentally fucking done, bro. And I
Hmm.
would wife, Betsy, wake up. Hey, you gonna go to work today? And or no, not say it like that. Like, are you okay? And I'm like, what's the go to? I don't feel good.
Yep.
Honestly, I was just hungover because I drank a whole bottle of bourbon the night before. But because I was trying to drink myself to sleep because I tried the CBD shit, didn't work. Tried the whole marijuana, whatever you want to call it, it's legal if you have a card here thing. Didn't work. And I'll tell you why it didn't work, because it took away whatever power I had left. And that's kind of the theme of this whole thing I was trying to, and I think I probably wasted too much time. I probably should have got to the meat potatoes a lot sooner. But I wanted my power back because I gave way too many people in my life my power.
Yep.
Before I gave leaders in the military my power. Hell, I even gave my dad my power before. I gave my brother, I gave his ex-wife my power, but I've given people in Tennessee power that I'm not even going to mention their names because they're not fucking worth mentioning. Okay.
Hmm.
But they had my power because they got to me. They took away what was mine. And I let them do that. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if I had not gone to the Warfighter Advanced program that I went to, they would still have my power. I don't think this journey would have. I'm 394 days sober today, dude.
Yep.
I've tapered off all those medications. It'll be, I think, a year next month, maybe. I had to take a couple of weeks. I was told to do it. You know, what is it, taper, whatever it's called. Because
Yeah, yeah.
before I
You
just dumped
you
them in the
you wean
toilet.
yourself off.
Yeah, before I dumped them on the toilet, and that was the dumbest thing ever because I was all sorts of jacked.
Hmm.
Anyway, but so anyway, so I struggled with that. Then finally, my old chaplain Beaver, kept reaching out to me about Warfighter Advance, kept wanting me to go, saying, "I'll go with you, I'll go with you, I'll go with you." And I kept kind of blowing him off. Sorry if you're on here, I love you, but I was blowing him off, making up excuses. So finally, I said, "I'll go," but I'm driving. Right, I'm in control. Right, I'm still in control. I'm driving. Stopped to see my stepson. He was stationed at Fort Campbell. Made a stop and got to see Eric, also known as Captain Dixon. Got to see him for a night before I went. Even that night, as we are drinking, I was like, I don't think I want to go, man. I think I might just head home, And he's like, he's like, you can leave if you want. You just go, go see what's about. If you don't like it, leave. And I was pretty hungover the next day. I was pretty upset. I was like, dude, I don't want to go to this thing. So I drove there. I didn't give him my keys. I don't even know if they even knew to ask for them, if they forgot or something, but I still have my keys in my hand. I thought you were supposed to give them up when you got there, but I didn't. But I gave, I got there and I was just really quiet. And I don't know if anybody in this chat's here from Warfighter Advance, but I was pretty quiet. Actually, I was detoxing. For 2 days, it looked like I was dying, honestly. It was the
Mm.
palest I've ever seen myself in my entire life. But they were like, I gave me liquid IV pouches and stuff. I was bad. That's how much I was drinking, brother. I was still taking my meds then because they tell you not to stop taking them because you don't want anything to happen.
Yeah.
But
The side
that was
effects
kind of
of.
my detox. It was like my detox week. But I got to sit out on a deck on the Potomac River. I just sat out there on this, and then just listening to to the river and everything. Started bawling like a baby, man. Like things start hitting you. So I started sitting in, listening to people's stories, and we got a lot of education part. But my favorite part, which I think Doc V, if she was in here, she'd probably say she probably thought was my least favorite part because I was always really weird in the little group, and we had to sit around in a big circle, and people would open up about things. And I had never told anybody, besides my family, some of my family, a lot of the stuff I went through, especially when it comes to suicide and that kind of stuff. But Michelle, who I don't know if she's in here or not, but she was in Warfighter Advance. She had opened up about it, and I sat there looking across the room at this girl. She just a vet. She's a veteran. They were all veterans there, not all combat veterans, but everybody in there is dealing with some kind of trauma, right?
Yeah.
And seeing her open up like that, I was just like, wow, maybe I could do something like that, And I kind of wasn't gonna. And then they were asking about numbers, and I kind of said, yeah, I did. And she kind of responded, seemed kind of mean at the time, like, well, what, And I was like, I was like, I tried to fucking kill my, I tried to kill myself, and I just words came out my mouth, my whole body just went whoosh, like that, and I just sat there like,
Mm.
what did I just do? What did I just say, bro? And I walk outside and fucking I'm crying like a baby, and fucking they start coming out, like pat me on the shoulder, hugging me. I love you, brother. I don't even know these people, dude. That was really I think the most eye opening day. And then I started learning about the medications that really, 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 really made me mad. I even when I called Betsy and talked to her, I have them written down somewhere, dude. And if I was to go through that list, it would take us about 10 minutes for all. And I wrote them down, and I had to get up out of my seat and walk around because I don't know how people called it, but I was tearing up. I was so fucking mad, dude. Why would you do this to me? It's my fault. I take responsibility for it, but I asked for help.
Yeah.
Why would you help me in this way? What do you consider this being help? Like you literally just taking my soul from me, turned me into something I'm not. Like, what the hell, bro? And so I just, and then I got home, and I was like, do I really want to embrace this? Do I really want to start this journey? And I did. I fucking did it. I don't know how, I just day by day. But the first thing I did every morning, and we talked about this already, is I would talk to somebody. I would just say hi to somebody. That's what I learned. You never know who might be going through what. If you could be anything, why not be fucking kind?
Yep.
So I just started saying hi. And I had somebody when I started working. My manager was like, "Why do you talk to everybody?" And I'm like, "Why not? Just say hi to people, bro. It's not that big of a deal." And that's the mindset. And it started. I think it started helping me a lot because I was opening up more. And I was able to share more. And I've told more stories about things that have happened to me overseas in combat that I have told in a very long time. And when those moments come up, now I don't have a crutch. I have to deal with it because I want to keep my fucking power. I have my power now, brother. You can tell I got my power. My power ain't going anywhere, right? I have it. Sometimes it's a little strong days, too strong, and some days I'm a big teddy bear, and my little granddaughters they rule me because they're little princesses and I love them to death. But what I've learned this last year, and this is kind of the whole purpose of wanting to come on here, because if you would ask me this question the year ago, if you would have said, "Hey, I want to bring you on this show," and I would have been like, "Are you fucking crazy?"
Yeah, I know what you would have said.
I would have sat here, and this would have been instead of a Jolt Cola, it's right. It would be a bourbon, and I'd be like, "What do you want to talk about?" You know,
Yep.
or a coffee. Anyway, but I think this last year, I made the gym a priority. Even when I started working, it's I don't really want to know. Get up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't give a shit. Get up, go to the gym, work out, do what you want to do. Just get your head straight. And I can always tell the difference. Like this morning, I didn't get up and go work out. I could feel it. I could feel a difference.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. You
you
get on
always feel the
yourself the
difference.
whole day
Always
now.
feel a difference, right? And of course, I always feel like a big fat fuck, whatever. That's some like being bullied by my own brother, being called blubber brothers and stuff. And I don't think I forgot about that shit. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. But I that to try to help people understand. Like I'd love to. This is why I like to do this. I don't mind sharing it. I think that there's a lot more into it than just your service and the things you went through. You have the personal battles. You have events that happen while you're. I went through 2 divorces in a matter of this span, right? I don't
Yep.
consider that third one was I don't even know what that was. I don't even consider it. I was another person. So yeah. Anyway, I think it was a bad dream. I'm glad I woke up. Anyway, but you know, taking responsibility for my actions was number one. I did some horrible things. I was a horrible person. I made a lot of mistakes. I can't blame it on pills. I can't blame it because nobody else put the bottle in my hand but me. Nobody else created those hostile moments with people but me. I've always been a passionate person. Everybody knows this. So when something does arise, some people like to stray away from conflict. I am not one of them. Everybody knows this. I've tried to be a lot calmer this year, and I think I've done a great job because the principal at my stepdaughter's school would have got his ass chewed at the zoo yesterday or Friday, but I kept my cool because all the little kids were there. Anyway, I've learned how to do that, but it's still here, man. I fight it every day.
Oh,
I have
absolutely.
days. I have days where I just want to sit in a dark room and cry. Um, Before when I was drinking, the days I sat at home, I don't know how much she knows of this or anybody that's on here, but I used to go in the bedroom and pull my pistol out of my drawer. I'd sit on the edge of the bed in the dark, stare at it. All
Yep,
it
you
takes,
and
man.
I, we
All
used to
it, all,
talk.
yeah, all it takes is a couple pounds of pressure, and everything's over. And nobody, you don't have to hurt nobody no more, and you don't have to feel pain anymore, and and everybody would be better off with you gone. That's not the case.
Very true.
And you have been through some horrible shit, man. And I'm not saying I'm the best person. I've lived a perfect life, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've hurt people, and all that. And and the only person I really need to ask for forgiveness from is God. And for the longest time, I hated him. I hated him. I,
Yep.
I still have my issues, but I don't. I think that there's a reason behind certain things, and things happen for a reason. I'm not saying for people to get religious, but there's a reason why. Chaplain Beaver kept reaching out to me. There's a reason why. He went to this he went to this program, and the first person he thought of was me. Like, and I think seeing people sharing it, the emotions, and not being afraid of it, I think it helps. So if there's like one person that's in this right now, if I help them today, that's a success for me. I think I hate that people have to go through this. That I go through this, and God damn it, you were doing
You're
so
good,
good.
brother. You're all
You
right.
know,
You're all right.
you just like the last 72 hours, man. I've thought of so many things, and I've just been in another world. You could ask her. She could ask if I'm okay, and I'm like, I'll be okay. Like, I don't have alcohol to numb it. I have pills. I didn't even go to the gym this morning. I probably wouldn't be like this if I would have went, because I would have been like, oh, I'm good now. But but it just nobody deserves this, dude. I think a big part of the problem is it's been so stigmatized. Is we need pills, and we got to be numb, and we got to be fucking castrated, and your toxicity and yada yada yada. It's like, get out of here, bro. Like, we don't need none of
Yeah.
that. We just need people to listen, and you need to have an outlet. You need to find something. Whether it's I shoot archery. I started
Yeah.
that in Warfighter. I was like, this is kind of fun. Went out and bought a buy and shot in a while. Definitely get the thing out there. But like that was it was therapeutic for me, bro. And I'm like, I never even would have thought of some stupid shit like that. I've been like, you ever see me in the backyard with a bow, like poof, like, come on, man. And just if I could leave anybody with anything today, for me it would be, you were not alone.
Yeah.
We
No,
are all
absolutely.
fighting, and we fight every day. It never stops. It's never going to stop. It's never going to go away. The only thing that you can do is you will never become the person you were, ever. The person you were is gone.
Absolutely.
What you can do is evolve into a better person. But that's a fight you live every day, because at the end of the day, people do love you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's our jobs, like I'm doing right now in front of I don't know how many fucking people, bawling my little eyes out to let people know that they're not alone. I'll do it every day. Like, if I could do this for a job, I got you pay me decent enough. I'll do this every day. Like, I need money, bro. But damn, I just want everyone to know the pills are not the answer. They may provide some short term relief, but nothing is ever made to be taken long term. I learned that from Warfighter Advance again. Um, and there's so many other alternatives to it. And The worst thing that ever happened to me was them putting me in a position where my mind was caged and my soul was gone, because it created so many bad years of my life that I wish I could get back, but I feel like if I got those back, then I wouldn't be who I am today. Um,
Yeah, true.
I think that I'd be able to, I'm like hardening your mind and opening yourself up, but realizing that you're still that strong person, you know, inside. It's okay to get emotional. I don't fucking care. What you come to my house and make fun of me? I'll just knock your fucking teeth out. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. I don't mind getting emotional. It doesn't bother me. It used to. That's why I stay numb, so I don't have to get in my. I think the most emotional I ever get was when I was drunk as shit, and I'd open up to my dad. And my dad had to hear some pretty crazy things. Right? He's heard a lot. You know, my mom has heard a lot too. And there's a couple very close brothers that have probably heard a lot. You've heard a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but that was all drunk. That's when I was the open, like doing this right now, sober.
It's
This
a
is
whole different
this
ball
is a
game.
success for me today
Yeah.
because you know, I even thought about we're going on vacation next month. We're going down to Florida, and I've always wanted to have a bourbon on the beach, on the deck, overlooking the ocean. That may not happen anymore, man. It may just be coffee. I don't know,
And that's
but
okay.
and it's okay. But where I'm at right now, is now I'm just trying to find my place in the world. I had a job. There was things I didn't like about it, and I made those things known. And I believe in the civilian world, that you should have good leaders and managers. Some people don't, unfortunately. But doors open, when doors shut, more doors open, and I was able actually to get into a role where I'm actually going to be able to teach and train every day,
There you go.
which is where I feel the most comfortable. When I was at this company that I was just with, the times I felt the most alive, even when I was shit, was teaching. I was in front of managers teaching quality management to project managers, dude. Like, what's up? Like, and I like that. I like that. It's fun for me. So it's going to be an interesting ride. That's a good note for me where I'm at in my life right now. But do I struggle every day? Yes. Other days that I've walked into the liquor store and picked up a bottle of bourbon, absolutely. Do I have it all figured out? Fuck no. Am I
Hmm.
trying? Absolutely. Am I badass? Every day. And that's that simple, right?
Yeah, I gotta say I'm so super proud of you, brother, for one, this. Maria Vanessa knows this, and I knew this. I'm kind of an a-hole for putting people in a situation, but I knew, and that's why I text you and stuff, and check in. Um, Anytime I can get one of my old buddies to do this stuff, I know exactly what y'all go through for like the first 72 before or that week when you're trying to put thoughts together because like you and I have talked.
Yeah,
Um,
like I wrote stuff down, dude. I haven't read anything off of this, but I wrote a bunch of stuff down.
Yeah, but
No,
the journey you took in writing that is hard on its own. I know most of the guys I pull on here, they say like for the whole week, man, they've been in their own head. They're like, I've been
yeah,
upset. I broke down crying like 3 times. I've thought about stuff I haven't thought about in years. And I love and thank you for being willing to do this. You and I have
of
talked.
course.
Um, like I said when you told me you started talking about this kind of stuff, I was like, absolutely. Like just talking about it kind of lifts it off your shoulders, and being open about it allows you to connect with people in a way that you've kind of been shut off for years, and it's that connection that really kind of keeps everybody going. But you hit so many points that I have been hitting for the last like 2 years doing this stuff. And the key one, and it was right around when you were talking about your turning point, which is where you met your beautiful wife now, um, is that empathy. And you said it. You met somebody, and for one of the first times in your life, they didn't truly understand what was going on, but they understood and heard that you were hurting and you had and for like a key moment, for the first time, you actually had somebody that didn't feel sorry for you, but felt that they needed to be there for you in that moment, not trying to tell you how you need to feel, not trying to figure out why you feel that way, but just the presence of somebody next to you that you know is in it with you for the long haul and is just there because they genuinely see you hurting, and you hurting makes them hurt, and they want to understand everything. And they might not ask questions, and they don't need to. But just the power of having somebody right there, their hand on your shoulder, letting you process your moment, a word doesn't need to be said, but just that power is amazing. And and then take it a step further when you went with the warrior group. Same thing. You heard somebody open up, and then finally you opened up. And in that moment, you left the room and they didn't let you just walk away. They came after you. They surrounded you. They let you know, not trying to do the mistake a lot of people, a lot of therapists make, where they're like, oh, yeah, I can relate to this situation because I went through. They didn't do any of that to you. They just let you
No,
know, hey, I see you. I see your struggles, and I understand, and I'm here. And that's it. And what I keep telling everybody, what I've told therapists, what I've told people at suicide prevention conventions is it's that empathy, not sympathy, that will help people recover, that will pull people out of the darkness. And if you sit there and you hit a combat veteran, a first responder with some kind of sympathy crap, they're going to shut down, they're going to get angry, they're going to walk away. No one wants you to feel sorry for us. We're not those kind of people. Like you said, we are wired different. Um, it's those people that, just care enough to listen and make their presence known, not care from a distance. Like let you know, hey, I'm right there with you. That it's that really um, sets the tone to actually allow us to take that step forward and start recovering and move into the next thing. So thank you for hitting on that. I think I couldn't have said it any more beautifully with the exact, examples and stories that you gave, because it's one thing for me to say it, and I've said it like 300 times in the last 2 years. It's another thing for someone to sit here, listen through it, and watch you, go through your journey, and then exactly hit that moment where empathy was finally felt, and then the self-loathing stops, and you kind of start accepting yourself for who you are, because you notice that other people around you are accepting you for who you are now, not who you were. And that power, like you said, it's a power thing, that you give yourself power back. You allow yourself to forgive yourself for things that you've done. Allow yourself to forgive yourself for who you've become, because you might not be happy with who you've become, and it
I mean,
takes time.
I did a lot of stuff I probably missed that I probably would love to have gotten out there, and that's fine. But you know, I like you said, I agree with you 100%. And I feel that everyone wants the quick answer. Everybody wants the quick fix. Everybody wants what, like Burger King. I want it my way. I want it now, kind of shit. And
Yep.
it's not. There never will be. But what you can do, is create a life, build a life for yourself, come to terms with who you are and what you've done, forgive yourself. If you can't look in the mirror and say, I'm sorry, or look in the mirror and say, you don't control me anymore, I'm in control, then you will never heal, because
Hmm.
everybody seems to want to miss that first step, and that's taking accountability and responsibility for their lives and their actions. And whether that's to yourself in a dark room or to whoever, that's up to you. But until it comes out loud out of your mouth or in your head or whatever the case may be, you're stuck with it. And I think once that's out, there's nothing left holding you. People love secrets and they love hiding things and holding things. When I became a transparent person, there was a point in my life where I wasn't necessarily, I kept things from people. And this woman right here, I told her every fucking thing, everything that happened to me, every relationship, every issue, times that I did things I shouldn't have done, times things were done to me that shouldn't have been done, everything. And I left out nothing. It is the most It is the greatest feeling in the world because now there is no secrets. There's
Yep. No
nothing to
weight.
hide.
No weight on
When
your
you have
shoulders,
to
no
hide
nothing.
something, it does something to you, right? It does something to you. But if you stay transparent, and that's what I think is big for us as combat veterans and as veterans, as anybody struggling, whether it's any kind of a trauma. It could be a trauma from an assault earlier in life, or any kind of trauma anybody's gone through, period. You have to accept that trauma happened. You have to be able to work through it. If you just look for a quick fix for it, you'll never heal. You'll never heal,
Absolutely.
and you'll be another statistic. 100%. That is some Brandon fucking straight talk. You will be a statistic at some point in your life if you do not heal.
Yep.
Will
The other
be.
big point
100%.
that
I
you
was
hit.
almost there. I was almost there quite a few times, and that's why I wanted to come on here. I wanted this direct conversation. I wanted to be emotional. I was hoping I wouldn't have been as emotional. I'll be honest with you, but seeing some people's faces on videos, and I didn't see one of my cousins. I think it's awesome. I ain't seen her in I don't know how long, but
Yeah.
Amy.
Yep.
But and just seeing, and just experiencing this, it's really awesome, and I'm so glad you invited me on here because a year ago I could not have done this. I would have been shut off, closed. I would have told you a quarter of a story, you know. But this
Hmm.
time, I was able to go so far as to tell you how upset I was to see my brother upset because I've never seen my brother get that upset before, as far as emotional wise,
Yeah.
and be able to get that into detail without even any kind of you know, it that means for me that it's another part of my journey. I feel like it's just concluded. Like, okay, now I can be open. I can be open with a lot of people. I see. I've been scrolling around every now and then looking at videos, seeing who's on and who's not. I can't help it. It's just part of me. I want to know. But um, knowing that and seeing that, hopefully it spreads. And other people can see this or watch this video and say, hey, like I can. If he can do it, I can do it, man.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
and that again, now I can say it a little less emotional. And that's the whole point. If I can get through to one damn person, one soul out of everybody that's in this room, or anybody that watched this video, and they go, you know what? I'll give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, you find me, get a hold of me. We'll talk. I guarantee it will work out. But you just
Yep.
have to continue to work every fucking day,
And
every
it's
day.
important to highlight the same thing that you said that I always say too. It doesn't go away. You can come out on top. You can start getting a hold on everything. You could be, publicly doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be there. That darkness is always there. The struggle is always there, and every single day, even though you are on top, it is still a solemn reminder of like, hey, if I don't stay positive, stay on top, stay in control. This is still there. It's gonna come back. It's gonna come for me. And that's a big thing that people don't understand as well. You come out on top of the trauma, you can get past it, but it doesn't mean that it's gone. And
And
those people that,
you don't need vices. You don't
oh yeah,
need you don't need alcohol. You don't need pills. You need perspective.
absolutely.